Welcome back. NFL season, it never ends. We got all these different times of years, and now we're heading to free agency. Had the franchise tag, got the draft coming up. So, Chris Mack, I want to ask you about the tampering period. We're going to see a lot of signings. But first, I want to talk about a trade that was made yesterday, and that may affect the Steelers and who they are available to pick, because the Bears traded out of number 1. Carolina now has it. You would think they're going to draft a quarterback, but the Bears need offensive line help. They wouldn't take somebody like that number 1 overall, but they will probably do it at 9th. How does this hurt the Steelers, and what do you think of that trade?
Well, I think I think both teams are winners as far as that trade specifically goes, Carolina and Chicago. They both got what they came for. Chicago gets extra picks because they're trying to rebuild, and there's not a position that they don't need other than quarterback. And I think Carolina goes up to get the quarterback that they want, whether it's Stroud or Young, I would think. Maybe an outside shot at Anthony Richardson. But I do think anything that pushes quarterbacks to the top of the board and pushes everybody else down the board is good for the Steelers. And I think that's what this does. I think it's going to create a run on quarterbacks in the top 7 or 8 picks. We still don't know what the Ravens may do what the Falcons may do at 8, Freudian slip, because it could involve the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. If quarterbacks get pushed into the top 10, that means some things, including offensive linemen, could slide down into the mid to late teens.
Man, if they go up and get Richardson, that would be like Trubisky all over again.
That would be a shock.
You know, maybe the Bears made that trade because the guy they want is the short arm man from Northwestern.
Who the Steelers
and their fan base really love in Skoronski.
Skoronski's good.
I mean, he's a really good player. He would fit a need for them. To Chris's point, I think that's absolutely right. The more teams that want quarterbacks that can draft ahead of the Steelers, they're going to get somebody good where they're picking, but they might get somebody that really could impact them for a while.
I think that the difficult part of this is going to be on that night. If you're sitting there looking at the 3rd or 4th best offensive tackle in the class and the 1st or 2nd best corner, and a lot of what happens this week in free agency will impact that. But if you've got to choose between, a Joey Porter Jr., the best corner in the draft, or I don't know, the kid from Ohio State, the 3rd or 4th best offensive tackle in the draft, right, it becomes a question of what is the more urgent need.
All right, Jeff, let me ask you, before that all happens, we have plenty of time to talk about draft, but this free agent period, the Steelers certainly seem to indicate they want Cam Sutton, they want Larry Ogunjobi. Do you think they're going to get those guys? They have about $10, $11 million to spend at this point after they cut ties with William Jackson for now. What do you think they do with those guys?
I think Ogunjobi made an impact. I do. And I think he helps their defense. However, they have, like you said, about $10 million to spend right now. They can rework some contracts if they want. I'm in for them signing Sutton, maybe taking a flyer on a player or two. But here's my feeling. This team is not ready to win a Super Bowl in 2023. Right. So don't go pushing any more money down the road and hurt your chances in 24 or 25 because you've shoved this money down there. Eat it this year. Go find a couple of free agent guys to help with the offensive line. If you can sign a Cam Sutton, great. But I'm not going out fishing this year because I don't think, unless you can find somebody young that you can sign to a long-term deal, I'm not going to be very active in free agency.
I mean, Sutton and Ogunjobi are priorities for me as well. The other place I would look is inside linebacker has to be a place where this team improves. It's because they can't get any worse. So with that being said,
they have nobody there right now.
What are they going to do? They're down to Miles Jack, and that's it. Maybe they bring Spillane back. But
they could release Jack and free up a lot more money, and then they could take care of a couple more things.
They could release the highest paid backup quarterback in the NFL, too, or try to rework his deal.
You really think they should do that?
I think it's something you have to consider. If you want to have the cap space available, I mean, inside linebacker to me is the one glaring place of need on the defensive side of the ball. The rest of the defense I feel decent about, other than strong safety because we don't know about Edmonds or KZ. But you can't go into next year with Robert Spillane and Miles Jack as your 2 starting inside linebackers.
No, you can't. I agree with that. But I also know that I think backup quarterback plays a role. We've seen how many teams need backup quarterbacks, and they have a pretty good one who's been here, 1 year, I think. And I understand that price may be high, and maybe they could rework that a little bit if he's willing to take another year. That might be the best bet.
To my point there, Bob, is they're not ready to win a Super Bowl. If you can get a guy at half the cost and bring in a free agent for 3 or 4 years because of that money that you used, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Could be that. We'll see. But in the meantime, give me a name. Do you have someone out there in free agency you'd like to see them? Last year at this time, they immediately went after 2 offensive linemen in James Daniels and Mason Cole. Both helped. Both were not big names. And the Steelers never going to go out and spend a ton of money. But they do have some good offensive linemen available in this. There's a 25-year-old kid out of Jacksonville, Taylor, Jawan Taylor. He's 25. just like Daniels or anyone else?
Right.
Would you make a play like that? Because his costs are going to be over $10 million a year.
I mean, I think I don't think they will. I think you have to consider offensive line in free agency, but I don't think they will. I think they're satisfied enough with Moore and Chukwuekorafo that they'll look to the draft for offensive line. I would, again, inside linebacker, the other Edmonds, Terrell's brother Tremaine.
How much
from
will
Buffalo.
that cost, do you think?
I mean, 10 to 12 million. It's going to eat up a big bulk of your cap space, but again, there's more than enough deals that can be reworked at this point in the offseason. You can find that space for a guy who can get sideline to sideline, who can also play the run. Had some deficiencies in coverage late in the year this year, I think, but I need somebody in the middle of the defense that I can trust to do a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's between a couple of guys and maybe even a Thielen if he's willing to do a prove-it deal to bring in somebody that can be a veteran in that room because they don't have that. Right. They got a lot of youth in that wide receiver room and a newer wide receiver coach. If they could find somebody like that, I'm spacing on the guy who was in Detroit last year. There's a couple of guys out there that I think could make an impact. And maybe that's someone you can sign to a smaller deal that can be effective on the field, but can also help teach some lessons to some of those young guys.
We're due for a break. We'll take it. When we come back, we're talking about the Penguins, who were winners yesterday and today, and a big 2 points against the Rangers. And they have 2 more games against them coming up this week. We'll talk about that next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown.